What's going on, everyone? So Milwaukee Bucks are an absolute dumpster fire. They are sinking faster than a ship in half, right? Like they are just tanking towards the bottom. They currently are 1-5 on the season. They're on a 5-game losing streak. You're hearing all the rumors, all the talks. Doc Rivers, is he going to get fired at any point? Which I doubt. He has a really good relationship with the owner, and he kind of has Doc Rivers in position to basically make all the decisions for this team. I do not see a scenario where they fire him, maybe. And can they even fire Doc Rivers at this point? I don't even think that they should have hired Doc Rivers to begin with. I am not a big Doc Rivers guy. Talked heavily about how I just think he has done more or done less with more rather than more with less, like top coaches are. Yet this guy continues to get jobs places. I don't see a scenario where the Milwaukee Bucks just pull themselves out of this fire, right? They lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers, which, by the way, Cleveland's 7-0, man. They are rolling. They won by the hair of their chinny chin chin, but still, they still pulled out the win. And it's just, I don't see how the Milwaukee Bucks figure out this just dumpster fire. I just see this as a snowball effect, and it's just going to keep getting worse and worse and bigger and bigger and bigger. Originally, I didn't think that Giannis would ask for a trade this season. I thought he'd at least finish the season, get into the offseason, and then you'd start seeing the trade talks. However, just the direction this is heading, the constant rumors and speculation that's going around, the pressure that Giannis has even said, look, the guy is basically done everything and said everything, but hey, get me out of here. But he's kind of hinted and talked about it on several occasions, right? Like, oh, Milwaukee would trade me if we don't win a championship. No, they wouldn't. Milwaukee would never trade Giannis, right? Like, so the only way that they would do that is if he requested a trade. And at this point, it might be just in Milwaukee's best interest to get it done at the trade deadline rather than in the offseason. Because you're going to have teams that probably more willing to kind of make that push. You get the teams that feel like, man, we're a Giannis away from winning an NBA championship this year, right? Give us time to kind of work things out. Worst case scenario, right? We got a fresh offseason, a fresh training camp, a fresh preseason, and we can go try to rattle this off, right? He has links to Miami. Brooklyn Nets are the two teams that have been heavily speculated recently. Miami, my question with Miami is like, would he fit with Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler? Are they not trading Jimmy Butler? Are they trading Jimmy Butler because Jimmy Butler might leave? But if they get Giannis, would Jimmy Butler leave? I just don't know. Like, would Jimmy Butler and Giannis make a good pairing with Bam Adebayo as like your third guy? I think Bam as like your third guy would be great, but I don't know how the Jimmy Butler-Giannis relationship and just chemistry would work. I also worry about like the lack of floor spacing between those two, although you could argue like they would be tough. But Miami, I do think makes more sense than Brooklyn. Right? Brooklyn doesn't make any sense to me currently. Now, could Brooklyn unload a bunch of players and do a bunch of things and, have an offseason where they tweak stuff off? Sure. But I think it would make sense for Brooklyn to trade for Giannis in the offseason rather than at the trade deadline. When I talk about the trade deadline, I'm thinking of teams like, if the Golden State Warriors wanted to go and make a push and go get Giannis, right? Supposedly, they are more willing than ever to trade Jonathan Kuminga. Also, he's going to need a new contract in the offseason. So do you kind of work some out, or do you wait and kind of work out a sign and trade? But, the new apron, it just could be complicated. But you look at a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, would they make a push for Giannis, right? Like, would they trade Chet? I don't think they would, but if you can get Giannis with SGA, right, do you put a package around like Jalen Williams and a Chet Holmgren, right, and maybe try to get Giannis, and you just look at it as like SGA and Giannis as a duo, and you'd still have like Hartenstein, you'd still have, maybe you can keep Giddey. If not, you still have like Alex Caruso, right? Like that team could be, man, imagine SGA alongside Giannis. To me, it's just like what teams would be willing to really push. But I just think that they may get more assets at the trade deadline because then teams can kind of work things out, especially with the new aprons and stuff like that. You can kind of just get the Giannis trade out the way and then figure it out from there. And worst case in the offseason, now you can kind of do whatever moves or make whatever adjustments that are needed in order to kind of go make a push for an NBA championship. Also, I think that the asset returns and stuff might be greater for the Milwaukee Bucks. They need to have a fire sale. In my opinion, they made two critical errors. And I know some people might look at Dame, right? Yes, but also I think the biggest mistakes, one, hiring Doc Rivers, right, over Adrian Griffin, who actually had a successful record at the time. And, you kind of go through it and just kind of figure it out. I think that they kind of jumped the gun on that. And two, I believe their biggest error was trading Drew Holiday rather than trading Chris Middleton. You should have traded Chris Middleton rather than Drew Holiday. Obviously, Chris Middleton's injury concerns and whatnot, that obviously is an issue. But even beyond that, even healthy, Drew Holiday just makes more sense slotted alongside Damian Lillard with Giannis, right? Drew Holiday as your third guy is already proven to be able to go win a championship. But now you get that point of attack defense. Now you get that versatile combo guard alongside a Damian Lillard. And now Damian Lillard can focus on being what he is best and kind of help mask and sort of mitigate the Damian Lillard flaws while maximizing Damian Lillard's strengths, in my opinion, right? But this was an old team that everybody knew needed to get younger rather than going and getting older. Now, again, I know a lot of people look at the Damian Lillard situation and go like, that was a mistake. They shouldn't have done that. But Giannis kind of put the Bucks' feet to the fire and were like, hey, I want out if you don't do something. So they kind of were like, well, what do we do? Okay, well, Damian Lillard's available. Let's go make a push for Damian Lillard, and brought Dame in. And then Giannis and Dame just haven't worked, right? Dame doesn't even want to be there. He never wanted to be with the Milwaukee Bucks. He wanted to be in Miami. So to me, at this point, I think you try to see if Miami still wants Damian Lillard, and can you get some type of package, get as many picks and as much young talent as you can, right? Whatever you can get young talent-wise and pick-wise, you do for Damian Lillard, right? Because you're not going to get a big return for Damian Lillard, right? He just does not look the same. He's not the guy that, he was expected to be. Does he get back to that with Miami? Possibly. And I think Miami needs a guy like Dame more, and I think Dame would be able to kind of be himself more in Miami than with Milwaukee, right? Because Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, they're two guys that are willing to do the dirty work, right? They're two stars that are willing, like they don't care if they score 30 or they score 3, right? As long as they win the game, and they'll do and pick up all the slack, and they'll do all the stuff necessary to win. Where I think Dame can kind of just slot in and just be Dame and just shoot 23s a game and do all the stuff that Dame did in Portland. I think he can just be there. And Miami needs that. They need that go-to proven scorer. And I think Dame, more likely than not, he'd be in a place that he wants to be in. I think he already has a great relationship with several players on that team. And I think that would help a lot, because him and Giannis, they don't even communicate. They aren't even working together on chemistry and camaraderie or anything like that. They could care less about each other, which is, again, a problem in and of itself. So I think you do whatever you can and get whatever you can in a Dame trade. You're going to get a huge haul for Giannis. Historically great haul, more likely than not. So you get that haul. And to me, I would try to look, because the Brooklyn Nets, who are you really getting that makes sense as foundational cornerstones for the franchise, right? If you can trade them to OKC and get like I said, a Jalen Williams, who already as your third, fourth option is averaging 20 a game and looks like a legit two-way guy that can do multiple things on the basketball court, and then can you convince them to give you Chet? Now you have your potential superstar, and you got a complimentary scorer, and then if you can get Ware and maybe can you get a Jaime Jaquez, something like that from the Miami Heat, now you kind of got the young pieces that you can grow, develop, build, and kind of move forward with. Probably not going to be able to get rid of Chris Middleton. I just don't see anybody lining up to take on his long-term money, as well as with his injury history and stuff. And with the new CBA, I think they're stuck with him. I think he just kind of ride it out with him, unfortunately. Brook Lopez, maybe you can trade. You're not going to get much for him, if anything, but maybe you can find a team that just like needs a center and is like, here, just kind of take him type thing, or maybe just kind of keep him until his contract, because he only has, one more year. So maybe you wait, see if he's, maybe somebody will take him on an expiring with the new CBA rules and stuff and the aprons. You get a team that just kind of wants to get under. Maybe you can kind of do that and just spend next couple years, 3 years, and just be like, thanks, Giannis, for the championship. We appreciate you. Where do you want to go? Or you go to a Warriors team and you get like Moses Moody, Pod, Kuminga. You just basically take all their young guys, and now you got like a Kuminga who could potentially be a star. Moses Moody looks really good, right? Now you kind of have your foundation pieces. That's kind of the direction I would go if I was the Milwaukee Bucks. Just try to get as much young talent, many draft picks as possible, kind of hit the reset here a little bit. I know that their draft picks and stuff like that aren't great, and they don't have control over all of them. What else are you going to do? What's your other options, right? You might as well just hit the reset button sooner rather than later, and just hopefully get enough young talent to where you're at least good enough to where you're not you're at the bottom of the barrel. You can't be much worse than you are right now, right? I would rather, lose out on draft picks but have a bunch of young talent than lose out on draft picks and have a team full of a bunch of old guys that can't win or do anything, right? And then Giannis is just disgruntled and just making things miserable, right? I just think cut your losses, wash your hands, be done with it. Thank Giannis. He's going to get a statue in Milwaukee at some point. Boom, there you go, right? Which team do you really want to go to? And you get as much as you can from those teams. I just think that this is it. I think Giannis is gone. He looks miserable. He acted miserable. You're seeing all the cracks starting to crack. I just think that they're cooked. I think it's over. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughs? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? You kind of mix, kind of in the middle, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.